Islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village. Convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Radio Cayman's Talk Today, the Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program. We ask our listeners to avoid statements or comments which are abusive, derogatory, malicious, or defamatory. Do not use any indecent language or make any statement which is false or misleading. Email talktoday@candw.ky or call 1-800-534-8255.
Courtesy of Flow.
Cayman's #1 network that connects you to your world like never before.
Let your voice be heard. Once again, here's your host, Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome. Thank you very much for joining us. No, it wasn't the coffee. It was probably the good company, but it was the conversation I had with a good friend earlier. Now it extends into the love and the laughter that we have. So if you join us, Mr. Rod Jefferson of Executive Services, telling us about a wonderful comedy evening. I've tried, Rod, many times to make people laugh, even if it's at my expense, because laughter, they say, is good medicine.
For the soul.
Yeah, it soothes the soul. It frees the mind. It brings people together, like fish tea. Good afternoon, man. How are you?
Great, and you?
Man, listen. I tell myself this for two reasons. Even if it wasn't true, I call that, so that I speak it into being. But secondly, to celebrate, to appreciate, to recognize that together we are stronger. And then as we move together in laughter and unity, we become one, right? And there's nothing like a good familial setting. It's nothing like family gathered to break bread and to share a story. I say that to ask, as we look at what perhaps the month of February is internationally, or whether we speak the language of love, or whether we celebrate something that could take us into the religious celebrations later on, or doesn't matter the historical context. There's something to be said about a month that celebrates itself. It's only 28 days and every so often they get an extra one. So even that must be a joke.
It's a special month.
It's a special month, man. Well, thank you for taking a few minutes to join with us, right? Laughter Lounge. Laughter. You want you and I to do a little comedy skit? I laugh.
I'm not the funny guy. I'd like to go find the funny people.
All right, but tell us what's coming up, when, where, and who's going to be there.
It's tomorrow night at the Hartquill. Originally it was Saturday, but it was a lot of stuff going on, and we decided it'd be easier to move it to Friday. Less things going on in case you want to do two things this weekend. Mm-hmm. You can take your significant other on a whole weekend, do something every day. Yeah, because don't get out a lot, here in Cayman all the time. But this is the weekend you have to get out and entertain that significant other, or they're going to be upset.
Yeah, that's the thing. And they say food is the way, through the stomach you get that man's heart. But maybe it's laughter that you get to a woman's, huh?
I think so. I think that's how I got mine.
What? It wasn't the handsome, charming looks, man?
I always go in for the laughter first, and we'll worry about the looks later.
You see that? If she says, he can make me laugh with his clothes on, that's a good sign.
If you got him laughing, you're halfway there.
There you go, man. No, and I have to remind myself, because all week I was on Thursday. Now that we're actually on Thursday, I think to myself, tomorrow is only Friday. Tomorrow should be Monday already, because I've been at Thursday from Monday.
I'm right there with you.
Yeah, the week is going fast. You're not hardcore tomorrow night, right? What time?
Yeah, doors open at 7:00. We're doing a happy hour. We want to relax everybody, so we have a drink special. So there's no issues with laughter. You don't have to try to hold anything in. Just go in and open yourself up for a good time.
One of the first comedy shows I ever saw, the comedian said, "Listen, if you don't think I'm funny because you're not drinking enough." Right, the more you drink, the funnier I become.
Yeah, that's true.
So 7 p.m. at the Hartquill.
They go on stage around 8:00.
Uh-huh.
This show, I think, is I'm not going to say special show, but me and Damon thought about this show, and these comedians were specifically chosen for Cayman.
Okay.
Because we were originally talking to a church organization, so we were looking for a completely clean show with nobody who even goes close to anything else.
Okay.
And these are two of the top guys that travel around, do the church circuits, and they do the clean shows and everything like that. Mm-hmm. They don't have the shock value or shock comedy. Yeah. It's more about situational relationships and just observations and stuff like that, and then storytelling. And I think that fits Cayman very well.
It's interesting, right? And I was inclined, and if my uncle, God rest his soul, he was still here, I know he has the record, right? Mm-hmm. Even though Red Fox, right? And as a child, you're not allowed to be in big people company, as it were. If you were, you can't be seen, certainly can't be heard. And there was this Red Fox record on, and his comedy, the little bit I heard, was sufficiently suggestive enough without it being explicit, unlike maybe the Richard Pryor's, the Murphys, and some of the others today that, you know, necessarily the shock value. And he would say something, and it's the way it's said that brings in the inference, and you get the laughter if you're sufficient and mature enough. So these acts, and when you tell us more about them, give you the laughter, give you that family evening, but give you something that soothes the soul.
Yeah. And funny that you say Red Fox.
Yeah.
Dick Gregory. Are you familiar with him?
We don't go that far back now.
Well, just the name, because I don't go that far back either. But Mark Gregory, that's his nephew.
Yeah.
So he's one of the comedians who's coming.
Yeah.
And like I said, he's been here. I brought him here once before. He did really well. We did the Yacht Club, and everybody enjoyed his comedy. He's a very good guy.
All right. So you got Mark Gregory.
And we have Mark Henderson.
Yeah.
And then Damon couldn't make it, our normal host. He had we ended up putting the show together at the last minute, and he was already booked for Orlando. So he's sending actually this person I chose, a lady named Corey Bell. She's been here before, but she was so good that when we did the show, we did it on the waterfront, and we only had about 40, 50 people in the show. And I just thought came and missed out on her, because she has like 5 kids, and it's all about her raising these kids and different things she go through and stuff like that. And she awed me because she was so good. And she's actually Monique. She's from Chicago. Monique had. Are you familiar with Monique, the comedian? She was doing a show in Chicago, and Corey got on social media and just hammered Monique about giving her a shot. She got basically the whole Chicago just, Monique, give her a shot, give her a shot. Went and got on stage with Monique, and now she opens up everywhere for Monique. She's her opening act.
Persistence and perseverance pays off, they say, right? And that's the true, triple P. But for Cayman and for Cayman at this time, I think one of the things that we're lacking is that camaraderie, that banter, and you can get it through laughter. There was a particular pastor here that I always enjoyed his sermons because he would endeavor to tell a story through a joke. And he would be the first to say, it's not the funniest, but thank you for laughing, for being kind. Maybe in church you don't have a reason not to. But because of his approach, you got the message, you got the importance of what it would do for you. And I think, I say that to share that I think that if as a public we make time to laugh, to socialize with good company, with good content, we'll come away with an appreciation, but we also come away with, you know what, we take ourselves too seriously. And the serious things that we should be, we ignore. So for you, what is this, whole approach? And I appreciate you taking a few minutes, and we'll ask about it. But I want people to understand it's not about an entrepreneurship endeavor. It's about community and laughing. And there's no better. I mean, my brothers, they keep me in stitches all the time. I just enjoy the jokes.
To me, comedy takes me on trips.
Yeah. Like
when I'm on a comedy show, it's almost like a hypnotist or something like that.
Yeah.
Because first, I've been studying this comedy since I've been seeing so many now. At first, I just sit back and watch as they pick off one person, then the other person.
Yeah.
And you can hear the room getting quieter and quieter because they're almost hypnotizing everybody into the room.
Yeah, yeah.
And then if you can drop a pin, that means they have everybody in the room, and then they can take them on this mind journey. And when you're on that mind journey, you forget about all the problems, everything that was going on around you. It's almost like therapy, and you just come out of there and you feel a little better because you just laughed and got all that out of you, and you feel a million times better.
And the thing is that I think some of us, if I may ask of you, some of us may have a perception about comedy clubs and comedy shows for different reasons, informed either by our own experience or observation, maybe what other people have shared secondhand. But your emphasis that this is about laughter in an environment where you don't get I'll borrow your words, the shock value. There are those who do that in whatever they do, from the politicians sometimes, even the pastor, the gloom and doom, the world is coming to an end, but yet we lose the message and we come away not feeling relaxed and energized, and for me, anyway, more importantly, feeling hopeful. And laughter can do that, right? So as we invite the wider public and we tell them how to get tickets and how much and so on, what are you hoping for? What what audience do you want to attend, and what are you hoping that they come out when they leave?
The audience, anybody 18 and up, because I think laughter is good for everybody, all the way up to 65, 75, 85. I'll tell you a story about that once I finish doing the
Yeah.
But me and Damon and myself, we love this island. We both fell in love with it. We both like comedy.
Mm-hmm.
So when we sat down to start doing the comedy here, we had to observe the island, what we think is okay to do here, not to do here. So we had a discussion about the type of comedians that we wanted to bring.
Mm-hmm.
One, we didn't want to bring anybody who's going to pick on anybody in the audience. Because if you know anything about comedy, if I'm picking on you in the audience, my show has gone wrong because I'm doing something that either because my jokes aren't working or I've lost my focus or something's going on. That's usually why somebody picks on somebody in the audience, unless somebody's just heckling them.
Yeah.
Most comedians don't want to pick on you because they're focused on getting out their jokes.
Yeah.
So anybody who is known for heckling, we don't even bother with them. And then it's back to the shock value. If it's about the sexual innuendos, all that, we know that's not going to work here, so we don't bring those type of comedians here.
Yeah.
So I get bombarded with calls all the time with comedians. I want to come here. I want to come. Will you bring me down? I go to Damon, call Damon, check with Damon, because he knows the ones that I don't know. He can weed out like, no, that's not good. That's going to mess up what we're trying to do at the Laughter Lounge. Yeah. So we're very selective about the guys that we bring because we like doing it here and we like the island and we don't want to offend anybody.
Yeah. Can I commend you for that? And I know at the outset I won't talk about the school. The reason why I asked you what I asked you before we started, but publicly I want to commend you for that. And I want to ask, if possible, because people, oh well, it's the policy. That's the excuse for doing certain things, or well, it's just business. It's not personal. Can I ask if it's at all? Commit to that, continue that, because it's important. I use church initial as a reference because sometimes the best jokes I got was in church. It was from the pulpit, the pastor trying to make a point without making anybody feel like as if they're beating up on them. The same thing in the school setting. My teachers, whether it was initial education or tertiary, the teachers that made the class fun, exciting, got you the lesson. You remember that, or you remember how to go about getting the answer or the point. So if you continue to do that, we can laugh at each other, we can laugh with each other, but we don't have to be malicious. We don't have to use expletives. We don't have to get into the shock factor. So, man, it's a great business model. I wish you continue success.
It's supposed to be a good time. So we don't want to make anybody leave there feeling bad.
Exactly, man.
One, they won't come back.
All right. Well, listen, let's quickly pause, take a short break. Give us another couple of minutes. When we come back, how to get tickets, and all the setting. Tell us all the things, right? At 12:45 or thereabouts, Miss Emily Ducou will share with us a separate segment till about 2 o'clock, and we're going to get into some of the social and other issues. But until then, we're going to work on our little comedy skit. No, I'm just kidding. Stay tuned. Join us after the break.
They say variety is the spice of life, and that's why at Subway, we are introducing the new Boneless Hot Sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
Coming in hot.
Coming in hot for the Red Dot Sale, only at Reflections. Red Friday is one day only. This Friday, February 10th, nearly everything must go. Clearance sale on men's and women's shoes. Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma, Dockers, and more. Limited styles available. Get yours before they're gone. Spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off. Ladies, save up to 50% off on clothing. Just in time to find your perfect Valentine's outfit or Valentine's gift with lingerie and personal massage massages at 10% off. Save on dresses, blouses, pants, and find even greater savings in our clearance baskets. Men, spot the red dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off on brands like US Polo, Dockers, and 20% off on all gym apparel. Levi jeans starting at $34. There is something for everyone at Red Friday at Reflections, one day only this Friday, February 10th. Reflections Clothing Store located on Cheddar Road beside the mango tree across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 9 p.m.
Grand Cayman, the concert you've been waiting for is almost here. Cayman Airways, the Ministry of Tourism, Palmyra Development, and Tortuga presents three-time Grammy Award winner Gramps Morgan. Gramps Morgan.
What I'm feeling. Hey, Gramps Morgan here, telling you about my appearance. Man, listen, man, we're moving from the mango tree to the Lion Center. Seeing February 18, 8 o'clock. So we're moving from February 11th to the 18th. Date has been pushed back 1 week because the ticket sales have been overwhelming. I'm excited to see most of you guys. New date, get your tickets now. Gramps Morgan live, February 18, Cayman Islands. Gramps Morgan. Blessings.
Tickets are $45 pre-sold. VIP tables available. Get online at CaymanEvents.co or at Mango Tree. Part of the proceeds to Meals on Wheels. Gramps Morgan.
Start your day in the know. Don't miss a beat. Radio Cayman's 7 a.m. news keeps you informed every Monday through Saturday at 7 a.m. Proudly brought to you by Walkers, a reputation for excellence. Learn more about the Walkers Scholarship and Legal Training Program at walkersglobal.com.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back and thanks for joining us, and thanks to the Rod Jefferson Executive Services Laughter Lounge Comedy Show. What you say, the day after today? So that's tomorrow.
Tomorrow. 7 p.m.
7 p.m. at the Harquill.
Harquill.
All right.
Love that venue. It's like a concert.
Yeah.
We kind of changed the format because we used to do it in restaurants.
Yeah.
This way I can bring more comedians because we can hold more people and it actually do like a concert format.
How many comedians going to have on tomorrow night?
We have 3 tomorrow. We normally have local comedians. Matt Brown went on the last show and he was amazing.
Mm-hmm.
He was killing the crowd. Like we had to pull him down so the comedians that flew in could perform. But I've seen him do plays, and so I never knew he could do a crowd like that. But he killed it.
You know, this is where, again, I commend you and these opportunities where in this country sometimes we don't appreciate, A, the talent, whether it's the academic, the artistic, the athletic. And B, we don't also, even as parents and siblings and friends and neighbors, that we have people in our circle who are interested in some things, and not only are they good, but they're interested, but we limit their potential. We say, well, you can't do that in Cayman, but yes, you can, all right? So I'm glad that through this, we can inspire and encourage and nurture.
It took me years to get him. Every time I was working him, he was like, no, not yet, Rod, not yet, Rod. Yeah. Still working on it.
Yeah, well,
at the end of the show, he said, "Okay, man, we have comedians," and that's how he finished the show.
Yeah, that's it, man. And man is like, he's so funny. Just looking at him, and you laugh. But he's like the fast car that's parked, gets a speeding ticket. It just looks so fast. It's just right there. No, it's parked. Actually, can you see? It's on his trailer. He has that persona. It just makes you laugh, right? Mm-hmm. And I'm hopeful that as people appreciate the importance of fellowship, whether you're breaking bread, whether you're sitting next to the person and you're just having a rip-roaring, belly aching kind of laugh. And again, thanks for making it that content where it's for adults, but you don't have to have that stuff that's for me anyway. It just takes away from what could be otherwise a beautiful evening, the ambience, Mm-hmm. What's your favorite part about comedy and that setting?
I like watching them hypnotize each person in the room, because to me it is an art form. Yeah, just to see the room go from people talking everywhere to slowly one by one they all kind of fall into a trance and go on a mind trip. Mm-hmm. Other thing is I was watching TV the other night, and there was I think it was Eddie Murphy or something was on there.
Mm-hmm.
But I noticed the fact that these comedians are really time capsules, because everything that he said was kind of what was going on in that time frame. Some of the things he was doing on stage, you can't do on stage right now or say right now. So it really showed how what was going on in that time that they were actually doing comedy. It was almost like watching a news clip of what's going on in the world. And that's the first time I kind of picked up on that by going back and watching some of the older comedians and stuff like that.
And I'm glad you shared that, because I think oftentimes some of the greatest commentary, political, economic, social, even discussion and an analysis of the geopolitical landscape can come from the stage, whether it's through a song, a poet, but even comedians. Johnny Carson. I did not, and I still don't care too much for television, right, in and of itself. But much that Johnny Carson would say, and just the way he would do a thing that I thought was uniquely Caymanian, just the way he would move his eyes and his face. He shared so much true body language, at least a young, impressionable mind looking at. And I thought, interesting. He conveyed a lot in what he didn't say by what he said, what he did, right? So you're right. But then in today's world, though, that cancel culture, that behavior that may have been either accepted and or just, well, it's no offense today. It's an issue. And we have to navigate the new world which we find. Not unlike our children. They get their news from whatever this device is. It's not delivered in a Sunday morning, with 1,000 pages that they take all afternoon to read.
And a lot of the stuff is to make you think. That's all it is. Just a way to make you think about, I didn't think about it that way. That's a different way to look at it.
Right. Is it then, with that point, as we close our segment, so to speak, I wonder how many of us as the theater goers, the audience, understand that this is not only a script, but there's a great sense of intellect. I use that word deliberately. This person is getting up on the stage to deliver something, hopefully to engage us, hopefully to cause us to think, and our interaction then creates a dynamic that helps that message to be better delivered. Now, it could be a soliloquy, it could be propaganda, it could be heavily motivating and or influential. But they have to deliver something from an informed perspective.
And it's very deliberate, and the timing could be off a second and the whole thing doesn't work. So it's an amazing amount of skill in just getting one joke out. Because even when a comedian, funniest person can go on that stage, but if they can't put the timing to the joke, it's not funny.
Some of us, that's us. The best joke, we could even read the joke. We don't deliver it as the guy who told it to us, right? One of my brothers, I mean, he's just hilarious the way he would tell you a joke. I try to repeat that same joke and I go, really? But, you're supposed to make the punchline last. Oh, not first. It's a skill.
Yeah, it's art form.
Yeah, man. Well, I'm hoping and very, very, well, hopefully expectant that as a people, we start to appreciate the importance of drawing together, uniting, of understanding that if the cultural ethos isn't representative of what the historical context is, then we are, no longer the guardians, as it were, but then failing to come together in, I would say, hospitable, helpful, respectful environments. We lose a lot. We lose who we are. We come away less than. Iron sharpens iron, but that applies across the board. Are you in a positive space that makes you think? And comedy can do that, strangely enough, right?
It's a very mature adult crowd. So it's people you want to network and socialize with.
All right. So tickets, the venue is at the Hartwell, 7 p.m. tomorrow.
7 p.m. tomorrow. Right. Tickets start from $40 up to $65. It's just a matter of how close you want to sit to the stage, because it's reserved seating, so you can choose your seats and everything online.
Okay. I was going to ask you about that because I shouldn't say this too publicly. People might actually, get to understand it. I love technology, but I love people more. I'd rather talk to somebody than to a machine.
I have an option for that also.
Okay.
My office is Executive Services in Alexander Place. It's an industrial park. If you're familiar with Dr. Glatt, Smiles Dental, I'm the first office. You can come in and you can get the tickets there physically if you don't want to go online and use your cards and all that stuff.
All right. And I understand as well that like, I think it's the airline, because some of us still travel, some of us believe planes exist because we hear about it, but we never see it. So presumably you go online, you book your ticket, and you can get to select your seat. Maybe there's even a charge for which seat you want. So like this now, reserve seating, you go on and there's a stadium outline and you say, well, I want seat A in row 1 next to. You can pick your seat if it's available.
It's all there. It's a map of the seating of the Hartwell. You click on your seat, select, and that's your seat.
So you can get the, you know, if you want to play basketball, you can be right courtside, or you can get a nosebleed section.
Exactly.
You decide what your budget is and where you want to be.
Everybody's afraid of the front. I tell them, don't be afraid of the front.
It's like church,
You do not
man.
have to worry.
Get up front, you'll be ignored. Go in the back and you'll be called on.
You can see a good show better from the front.
From the front.
And feel it. See the sweat coming off their foreheads, everything.
And you can tell, you know, it's interesting you say that. You say actions speak louder than words, right? And watching people, and I don't know, don't have to have any desire to be on stage to be a comedian. You can laugh at me from here if you wish. But sometimes you're on stage and the lights are there, the monitors are there. It's hard to see and engage with the audience if the lighting is such that it affects your vision, so to speak. But if you're there and you're watching, you know, this person, you can tell when they're into it. You can tell when they're feeling it. So the energy, as I said, of us as the, you know, the audience and the participants, let it be positive. Let's go there with a good feeling, with intent that we're going to have a great time, because, you know, everybody coming with a positive mood, right?
The comedians feed off that. They feed off the energy of the crowd.
All right, man.
They need you to feel like doing their job.
Yeah, man. Hey, listen, man. You know, laughter is good medicine. So Laughter Lounge tomorrow evening at the Hartwell, all right?
Tomorrow evening, come out. Let's pack the place.
All right. So you can get tickets in person from your office at Industrial Park, Alexandria Place.
Yeah. I could be wrong.
No, I think it's now the male version of that name. I think it used to be, but it's right there on the left-hand side when you come around the corner, you know.
Brown next to Brown's, that's all.
Right there. And for those who much more tech savvy, they can get them online as well.
Yes, you can get them online at www.laughkman.com.
All right. So every which way. So 7 p.m. show starts at 8. Come relax and enjoy yourself.
Ready for a night of just, we call it hurt your face comedy. Because you're just laughing and you can't stop it as uncontrollably. Using muscles you haven't used in a long time.
Yeah. Well, listen, we spoke about it earlier. And you can do it now and or later. We want to give away a ticket to one of our listeners. Want to do that?
Well, they need a pair because they want to bring somebody.
They need to bring someone. So what we'll do, we will do this, right? We give them one ticket, they buy the next one.
Okay. Hey, that works for me. It helps my cause.
We got a ticket.
Okay.
All right. So maybe the question is, right? We should ask our audience. You can decide what the question is. But I'm thinking, who's the funniest person here at Radio Cayman?
I like that question.
Yeah, I like that question, right? And I know people are saying, oh, it's probably Susan. Others say, no, it's Kathy. People are saying, no, it's probably Miss Norma because it's your dishes, right? But I think, you know, all right. Or you can choose to give a ticket to one of our listeners, right? It's up to you. We got one to give away. You want to put
you choose. I show. I'm in your house.
Yeah. You know, this is one of the places where I'm in charge. Yeah, right. Well, I'm hoping everybody will have a wonderful, safe, and really enjoyable weekend. And maybe part of that, as you shared, Rod, you know, going into Chocolate Tuesday, that they'll make it part of Laughter Lounge tomorrow night. So to our listener. So, Miss Susan, we're going to open the phone lines up. We've got a ticket. 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. I want the first caller to call and tell us who I am thinking is the funniest person who came on. All right? The ones that make you laugh every day. No hints. And the person that calls and gives that, we got a ticket for them.
That sounds like a rigged question.
It's kind of like how politicians put questions on paper so they get the answer they want, right?
Exactly,
right.
Okay.
So you got 30 seconds. You got 10 seconds. 9. Okay.
You have me watering in the eyes over here.
And it's like my cologne, man. All right, we got a call online. Rod, if you want to don that headset, I don't want to mess up your hair, but you put it on so you can listen along. Good afternoon. Welcome. Thank you for calling.
Slick it back.
Good afternoon.
How are you today?
Good, and yourself?
Oh, man. Thank God for mercy, for love, health, and strength. I'm blessed. All right. So, you want to tell me what I'm thinking? Who's the funniest person?
Of course, Mr. Dwayne Sterling Ebanks.
Almost got it right. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. What you say?
She's smart.
No, but thank you for that. You see that? You know, you ask for good things and they come your way. Well, I'm hoping that tomorrow evening you'll be a part of the audience as well?
I'm hoping to.
Okay. You want me to see if I can finagle another ticket for you, or you want the second one? We give you one, you get one.
I think that's fair.
That's fair? Wow. You see that? A fantastic lady with an encouraging voice. What do you want to say to her, man?
Come out tomorrow, relax, forget about all your stress and drama, and let's just go on a mind trip.
All right. Blessings here. No, thank you.
Thank you.
All right, stay on the line. Let Susan get your details. We can hand deliver the ticket for you on any day, not ending in Y. Other than that, you can come pick it up. Okay? Let Susan get your details. And thanks for calling in, all right?
Thank you. You guys have a good day.
Yeah. All right, stay on the line. You know what? Pastor once said, the Bible says, love that neighbor. It didn't say much about liking them. But I do like people too. Rod, you're a good guy, man. Thanks for sharing with us.
This is the most fun I've ever had on the radio in my life.
This is only his first time on the radio, so all right, you're being kind. No, but thank you very much. And I'm hoping that, honestly, I say this, too many of us don't laugh enough. And sadly, when we look at our children or school children or young children, we don't see the joy in their lives anymore. And we probably don't feel it in our spirit. And we're probably, unfortunately, told as an adult, and you laugh, people look at you and go, boy, something wrong with him. But if you laugh, you realize how much joy you bring to others and to yourself. So maybe tomorrow evening we'll be reminded of that.
We will.
All right. So tickets in person or online? Where again?
In person is at my office, Executive Services. Online is www.laughkman.com.
All right, man. Harkwell, 7 p.m. tomorrow evening. Enjoy the rest of this afternoon and the week. And tomorrow will be an amazing evening, man.
Thank you for making me laugh and my eyes water.
Hey, I'm raised by a good father, nurtured by a loving mother, sisters and brothers that keep me in check. I have no choice but to enjoy life and be thankful, man. All right, we're going to pause and take that break, and God's willing, we'll see you all tomorrow at the Harkwell. All right, stay tuned. Join us after.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
When you're craving something big, something tasty that gives you that lip-smacking satisfaction, something that hits the spot, there is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
It's pretty tasty.
Filling and full of flavor. Try our new sweet onion steak teriyaki with a twist. Or the classic chicken teriyaki. Top it with green pepper, onions, cheese, and that sweet onion teriyaki sauce, all piled on your favorite artisanal bread. Satisfy that craving with a footlong from Subway.
Fresh, delicious, tasty, meaty.
Let's make it a meal with a drink, chips, and cookies. There is nothing better than a footlong from Subway.
Tune in Saturday evening at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio for our Valentine's edition. You'll love it. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear. From the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio. 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman. 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. That's your Yesteryear Musical. Valentine's Day Primer, Saturday, 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio.
CUC reminds you to always be aware of power lines. Electricity can be very dangerous. It cannot be seen, but it can be lethal. Do not loosen or come into contact with the guy wires or guy rods at the base of poles. These guy wires and rods are marked with a yellow plastic covering. Damage to these wires and rods can result in service interruptions or injuries to the public. Safety first at CUC.
Wouldn't it have been grand if you had purchased land 30 years ago? It may not be 2020, but a perfect vision has never been more clear. Cayman Brac and Little Cayman, poised for growth with an eye on the future. Your land, your history, your future. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waging to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back, and thanks for joining us. As we had shared sometime last year, seems like a long time ago, and on Thursdays, we're going to build this Thoughtful Thursdays to provoke and to promote, to evoke, and to encourage that sense of discourse and dialogue that brings us together, that doesn't divide, create discontentment or any kind of division. So, again, a special welcome to Ms. Emily Duku for being part of us. Thank you. Good afternoon.
Thank you. Good afternoon. Always a pleasure to be here on your show, Sterling. Thank you to the listeners for tuning in. And yeah, absolutely. Today is another installment in a series of conversations of, just getting people's voices raised and amplified, and advocates within the community getting that, cream rising to the top.
Yeah, and that is so important, right? And if you would allow me to reference him, Mr. Roy Borton, his writings, he's working on another installation of his, I think quite eloquent demonstration of his intellect. But his penning, a gathering of old men. Many of us grew up in a society, not only in Cayman, but because this is where we are primarily, whether we emanated from elsewhere or otherwise, right? We need to respect and value where we are and the importance of championing, protecting, promoting, preserving, but equally empowering, a word that is so misused that is at risk of becoming a cliche. The comment by anyone, public servant, serving in office now or retired, budding entrepreneur, the student, anyone that says anything that seems to have any semblance of thought is looked at it with ridicule. Where have we come? That would be what you would want and hope, and hopefully
absolutely
have instilled in your people, think before you talk. What is that they say? It's one thing to be thought of a fool, but to open your mouth and remove all doubt.
Exactly.
So think before you speak.
Absolutely. No, we should definitely be encouraging, homegrown talent and fostering that, and like you said, empowering that, no matter what that looks like. But overall, when it comes to changing the narrative of Cayman being a very passive place, we want to be a very assertive place, and empowering advocates to amplify their voices.
I try very, very hard to always remain respectful, hopefully respectable, always conscious and mindful so that I don't forget certain things. But I wanted to make a note, so I accessed my electronic device. Something someone had sent to me. It says, if only closed minds came with closed mouths.
If only.
If only.
If only.
And I don't say that, honest to God, I don't have any problem standing in the gap, taking you on, but I never want to maliciously and deliberately be that person that's offensive. Right? But I don't think that there's sufficient courage in the world, and especially in Cayman, when our women, not long ago, stood in the gap and they were the be-all and the end-all, when our fathers and the men sacrifice and serve so valiantly, and without anything in return, no expectation, they did what needed to be done. And here we are. I don't know even what to say about what we are. If that offends people, it's not because they say you don't mean no offense that it doesn't. But look in the mirror. you're not standing with a gun that makes you better or with gold. Are you standing on integrity and humility and responsibility and respect? Am I being too harsh? Is that lacking in our society?
No, and you made a very good point where, growing up, we were told, get educated because nobody can ever take your education away from you. And integrity is similar. Values, when you are aligned in your actions professionally, when you're parenting, when you're just going about your day, just, whatever, if they all align and if your peer group and your community have aligned values where sustainability and empowering people and these topics that are so critical to our survival as a nation, they don't become a debate. Like, it's not a debate that we need to preserve our culture. It's not a debate that we need to solve these crises that are on our hands, housing and cost of living, etc. But what I think a good solution to said crises is, like I said, going back to finding values that we can all align ourselves on. Like, what can we all agree on? Everybody needs shelter. Everybody needs food. We have a culture that needs to be partially maintained, but also evolve. Right now in Cayman, we have probably over 120 different nationalities, and those different nationalities all bring with them different sets of values. But all in all, we can all probably agree on a certain standard of living, because at the end of the day, it's about quality of life. How do we make our culture foster that quality of life?
We're going to the news break. Ms. Emily Decoux will be your guest until 2 p.m. I will be respectful of the time. I want to invite our guests, though, to be, an active part of today's discussion. The phone lines are open. Sometimes it's a challenge to get in for different reasons. I just believe that if you're persistent, press in, press on, you'll get the reward. So 949-8037, 949-6990, or 1-800-534-8255. Join us after the news. We'll have, as usual, a very engaging, informative, interactive discussion with Ms. Emily Decoux.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
On a daily basis, making it easy to connect with you, our listeners. Add us to WhatsApp today, 925-3261. That's 925-3261.
Radio Cayman.
Send a text or voice note.
Can I send a request, please?
You don't really have to ask us. Just send a request.
This is a shout out to my ex.
Radio Cayman, the voice of the Cayman Islands.
Radio Cayman, maintaining the innovation.
From district to district, moving through the waters to Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. Your station, your voice. All things Cayman. One radio, many people. This is home.
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
The judge finds the 24-year-old guilty of all 6 charges related to an assault in 2021. The incident occurred before Miss Connolly was crowned Miss Cayman Islands Universe. She was convicted today of 2 counts of common assault, 2 counts of damage to property, disorderly conduct at a police station, and assaulting police. Sentencing is scheduled for the 20th of April, pending completion of a social inquiry and victim impact report. Miss Connolly's bail has been extended until then. In international news, the UK government has pledged at least £3 million to support search and rescue operations and provide emergency relief in the parts of Syria most badly affected by Monday's earthquake. In a statement, the British government says it will be providing the White Helmets the funding to, quote, aid their major search and rescue operations. The humanitarian group has been providing support to civilians in northwest Syria, a rebel-controlled region of the country. It previously appealed for help, saying it was, quote, a race against time. Meanwhile, survivors of Monday's earthquake in Turkey and Syria could face a secondary disaster as cold and snow leading to worsening and horrific conditions, the World Health Organization said Thursday. Speaking at a conference in Geneva, WHO Incident Response Manager Robert Holden warned there were a lot of people surviving out in the open in worsening and horrific conditions. The scale of the challenge is amplified by the fact that affected areas in both Turkey and Syria are facing colder than normal temperatures. Netflix has extended its crackdown on password sharing to Canada, New Zealand, Portugal, and Spain. Users in these countries will now have to pay to give people they don't live with access to their account after similar rules were trialed in Latin America last year. Under the new rules, subscribers to Netflix standard or premium plans will be able to pay for up to 2 people outside of their household to use their account. Netflix started introducing the change last year. It plans to roll out the new rules more broadly sometime before March, it said in a letter to shareholders last month. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
The headline news is brought to you by Health Services Authority.
Health Services Authority is now offering online payment options for patients. Patients of HSA can now pay their bills, including deposits, towards scheduled services online at payments.hsa.ky. The secure, new online payment system accepts debit or credit cards and is in addition to the available payment options of cash, check, and online bank transfer. For quick, easy, and secure payment directly from your phone or computer, visit HSA's new online payment system at payments.hsa.ky.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Born in Creek, Cayman Brac on the 25th of September 1939, Henry Mansfield Connolly was the third of 8 children for Henry Kitchener and Olive Connolly. As with many of the men of his generation, he went to sea at the tender age of 15 and worked for Mr. Southwell and National Bulk Carriers for some 30 plus years. During this time, he rose from being an oiler pumpman to the post of second engineer after completing correspondence engineer courses from a school in New York. He sailed on many ships, including the Universe Leader, Universe Defender, or Titan, or Venus, or Meteor, or Transport. After his tenure at National Bulk Carriers, he was one of the few brackers who worked with Cayman Energy Company doing the ship-to-ship oil transfers off the island in the 1980s. After a medical injury, he retired from sea and started his own plumbing engineer company, C&H Plumbing.
Radio Cayman is pleased to feature this special Sister Islands historical vignette brought to you by the Ministry of District Administration and Lands. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands.
Explore your history, explore your land, explore your Sister Islands, the ultimate staycation experience. Your culture, your freedom, the land that time forgot isn't gone. It's your Sister Islands.
Discover all that our Sister Islands have to offer.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thank you for joining us. In the studio, Miss Emily Ducou. The phone lines are available, and on the other end, you want to know who's answering it today? Well, you have to call 949-8037, 1-800-534-TALK. That's 1-800-534-8255 or 949-6990. I'll have lots of things that I want to ask and say and share, especially when I'm in the company of good people with a strong intellect and a courageous spirit. It only makes me that much more empowered. But before I do, anything that is pressing within your spirit that you say, hey, you know what, I just want to say this.
Where do I begin? I guess if you had to go for like what's been pressing on my spirit today, what I will say is, in Cayman today we have a lot of unsustainable things on the agenda. And the most pressing one, there's a meeting tonight about it. I don't know if we wanted to talk about that.
We can, and while you sort of, consider that, let's just, if you would allow me, take this call. Call, let's come in, let's take it, let's see where and what that may inspire.
Absolutely.
All right. Hey, good afternoon, welcome, thanks for calling. Hello, good afternoon.
Hello, good afternoon.
Good afternoon. How are you?
Greetings, give thanks. And you?
Hey, give thanks, man. In all things, give thanks.
Hallelujah. Every time. You know, no offense to anybody else. I praise God to Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, you know, the black one that came from Africa, you know, the where scriptures come from. But anyway, good day. Am I still on or I get cut off for that?
Why would you get cut off for that? I mean, I didn't hear anything that you said.
Well, my brother, being an African Caymanian, okay, of 10 and 12 generations, undisputably, don't get no more Caymanian than I am. You get as, but no more. No disrespect to anyone else, okay? But the reason I said that is because as a young lady, there's a beautiful woman there speaking right now. I don't know what she looks like, but her soul radiates, all right? Because this woman has hit topics with just being simply factual. And as she said, and as you said earlier, sir, respect, it's as if when we speak of the truth, it's an offense. But the truth's an offense to most, but it's not a sin, all right? Next of all, I'm in tourism, all right? And on this subject, please bear with me a minute. Does not tourism represent the country of the people it's in?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, thank you, ma'am. Now, this place is 24 miles long, 10 miles wide. Tourism is an industry founded by Caymanians. I know because my family are 2, if not 3, of the 5 founding families of it. Okay, and if you don't know who I am, you can ask later on, but I don't think it matters at this point. And as a matter of fact, in Cayman, it doesn't really matter at all. And that's why this subject needs to be spoken of. Because unless the people, indigenous people of the land, are extinct and or on reservations, you know how that happens. That doesn't happen by mistake. All right? Well, then tourism is supposed to represent the people. Am I not correct?
I agree.
Okay, thank you. All right? Now, with that bear in mind, I don't know if a lot of you Caymanians, because you're so afraid of the sun, you're afraid to get dark and that beautiful black skin you have or brown skin or what have you. But let me tell you something. If you're not, please come out to Stingray City one day. Go from the yacht club, Safe Haven, wherever it takes, or Morgan's Harbor, go all the way to Starfish Point. On any given day, the yacht club, Stingray City, sandbar, snorkeling out, any given day, please, and bring Mr. Bryant, Mr. Kenneth Bryant, because obviously Kenneth has never taken a boat ride in his life because he's in tourism, and this stuff is so blatantly disrespectful and literally racist. Matter of fact, I think it was 1978, you had empowerment in the States. No company can have all less than 30%, 40% black or women or what have you. But, you know, our dive industry particularly is 100% Caucasian, and it was founded by black Caymanians, not even white Caymanians, who mostly are white Jamaicans, no disrespect, that came here later on, okay? And really aren't white people. They're actually Shemitic white people or what have you. So we need to get correct about this. Because in the end, these people are going to be the most ostracized people, the light-skinned ones, more than us. Because we know we're black, and you understand? So all this plays into this fact right now.
Mm-hmm.
And all I'm saying is this. If you can even just come and evaluate, or any government official can come and just do what I just asked just now, all right? And if you can hold your head up after that and say that you're a Caymanian and you have any bit of pride, respect, or honor, well, then, in that case, we know we need to get rid of you.
Yeah, can I, let me ask, I love when people, and thank you, when people have passion, when they're willing to stand in their position, but how do we get, given what is transpiring globally, but even increasingly locally and regionally, how can we get to a space of unity? I say that reflecting on Bob Marley's words when he says, not until the color, of a man's skin is no more important than the color of his eyes, there will be war. We're seeing division based on color, creed, ethnicity. We're seeing division based on culture, economic status, social setting, country residence. How do we move beyond that? That if Christ is for all of us and all of us for Christ, on the one, how can we get to a space where we don't divide and dismiss, but we love and unite?
Divide has already happened. Remember the light-skinned Caymanians when we were young were put up in the front of the class, no matter how, and they were called attractive, just because they had straighter hair, just because they had light skin. The divide has already happened. The cure has to come in now. The cure is the truth. Noah had 3 sons, Ham, Shem, Japheth, okay? All of these were black people, if you check the history, of different shades, Ham being the darkest, unarguably, okay? That's not a conversation. Later on, lighter-skinned people arguably came off of Japheth, the 3rd or 4th, 5th generation, or what have you, arguably. Because remember now, historically, everything has been run. We have a white supremacist system, my brother. So how can you say that to me if you're not speaking respectively?
No, what I'm asking is recognizing history. I mean, we cannot on here on ring the bell, but if we know what was and it isn't what we want, how now can we move forward? If not, for our benefit, but for our children's children. So if if two of us are fighting each other over whose dog tore up whose roses, how can we put aside that difference to unite and unify to bring our successive generations to one accord?
They used it the opposite way and said, in the name of God, we'll enslave you, we'll oppress you, blah, blah, blah. But go back and check what the scriptures say. Number one, also go back and see where the scriptures come from. In the name of the Almighty, we can change this too.
Right, but that's what I'm saying. How do we do that? And should we not work to unify each other? It's easy to tear down. You ever looked at renovating an old house, right? You can knock the walls down, but can you put it back? You can pull apart a car engine. You don't need to know where the parts go, right, to take it apart. But when you want to put it back together, you need to know what you're doing. How do we put it back together to come together in love, unity?
It's easy to hate. It takes strength to be gentle and kind.
Right.
But I cannot be kind to you if you're taking off of my breadfruit tree and I cannot have access to my tree. There is no kindness in this conversation. That is not a conversation.
No, I disagree with you, man. There can be kindness. Are not our parents reminded not to discipline and anger? Are our parents not in giving us instruction, doing it out of love? There's kindness and love. No matter how stern they are, no matter how serious they are, they say to you, listen, Bobo, it's raining. You're not going to decide to play right now without this or that. Doesn't mean that they have to chain us up and beat us. They did it with love. They were stern, but they were fair.
My country and my people that care, well, that means if I have to remove you, it's for that love.
Yeah.
You have to understand where this is coming from. The
All right.
Jesus that I love went into a synagogue with a big stick,
All right,
opened up a
two things, right? Two things. Let me ask Miss Emily to weigh in 1 second, and then I gotta share something else with you. Miss Emily?
No, I hear you loud and clear, caller. I think personally, we should look at it as a central way of living where we have values. And when you say, you don't want folks eating off your breadfruit tree, I hear you loud and clear. And to me, it's sort of like, it's not anti-you. It's just I need to meet my needs first, and if I am able to meet others, we will explore that. But, that feeds into a political conversation as well.
Mhm.
It's like, we can't try to entertain international interests before we meet the needs of our own people, or we can't, not meet the needs of our own people while entertaining the interests of people who are not from here. Things like allowing development but not collecting duty, which should go into infrastructure, as an example. And it goes back to, do we have those values? We talk about being K-mankind. Are we being K-mankind to ourselves, to our own community, before we have this, wild race to just grow, and not having, a framework in place of some sort where we're screening the people we bring to our shores in many ways. Going back to your point about tourism, caller, like, I hear you again, where we need our ministers, our government, to be out in nature and understand that this is what we, the people, have to care for, and the policymakers, need to work with us to protect. And in order to do that, so that, we need to have values, because it's important that we have this product tourism for people, not only just in this generation and in this year, but for many, many years to come. That's where balance comes in, when we have to weigh in development and growing our industries versus growing it too much to the point where we lose them. And how do we do that? Well, we partner with each other. We collaborate. We play on the community aspect of policymakers with voters and constituents who have a very strong knowledge of what they want for their community. It's respectful to collaborate amongst decision makers.
All right. Welcome back. Thanks, man. Let's hear from you then before I share my last point.
Sorry, sir?
No, sir. Sorry. Thank you for letting Miss Emily interject. And let me hear.
I could say a whole lot more, but at least you're having this conversation. The last generation didn't even have the sense to have it. Good day.
All right. Well, thank you. Well, as he shared, and perhaps that'll be a good reprieve for me to maybe refrain from my next. So as he said, good day. Thank you, sir, for that. There is something that is happening around our space, whether that is in our own little cubicle, whether that is in our own little corner of the office block or the neighborhood or even the globe. But I wonder if we are appreciative that, as the caller said, it's easier to hate. Now, why not live in love? Right? And that love, the agape love, to my own thinking, doesn't mean that you don't stand in the gap. It doesn't mean that you don't have, let's say, passion, right? With conviction, you speak, and you speak loudly and boldly. Some people mistake that if you're going to be loving, you're going to be meek. I wasn't there in the day. I don't know that my impression of it is accurate. But if for those who are called to be Christ-like, Christ goes into the temple, and I'm sure he told them fellas, look at him, behave on himself. I don't want to see this nonsense anymore. The scripture say, he knocked through the tables. He didn't just turn them over in wishy-washy. He gave them a good backhand slap and slapped them a couple of times and said, listen, behave yourself. And that foolishness never happened again, right? See, we paint this picture that, to be meek and mild and gentle and kind, right? No. You can't sit down and make people dig at your eyes and then, but that's what's happening. So when we speak, people only hear when it's laden with expletives or is backed by some demonstrable force. I wonder if we can understand the importance of not just safety and unity that comes, with numbers that can strengthen. Why is it that we're waiting for somebody else and we ourselves are not willing to be that someone?
That's a great question. I think given just the youthfulness of Cayman as a nation, a lot of people are perhaps within themselves unaware of what they have to advocate for, to be better, in the sense of perhaps they have only really ever lived in Cayman, maybe only visited Miami, the big cities, so that's what their idea of what Cayman should look like is. So they don't, perhaps. Okay, let's backtrack slightly, but if someone comes in and or raises their voice to advocate, a lot of people will get behind that, but there's also the added lack of education when it comes to participating in democracy, right? There's the added, we're not given mandatory curriculum on civic participation. We're not empowered through our education system, to the best of my knowledge, on how to, write to your elected officials and hold them accountable.
Even who they are and what they're doing.
Exactly, right? And there's, for all intents and purposes, there may be a code of conduct within Parliament, but the effect of, the outcome is that up until very recently, our culture was molded by what the actions of our policymakers were, which
they themselves were
I'm
influenced
not
by,
even about to go into that conversation of,
Fair enough. We do have two other callers,
Yes.
all right? Let's take these callers. We'll certainly get to them before the break. Hey, good afternoon. Welcome. Thanks for calling. Emily Decoux is our guest across the table. Good afternoon.
Hello.
Hey, good afternoon. How are you?
Hello. Good afternoon. Am I on?
You're on. I mean, the question is now, are you on?
Well, I'm on in terms of wanting to speak, but I wanted to know if I was on the program.
Of course, man. You're live with us, man. You're live with us. Welcome.
Well, thanks very much. Now, first of all, I greatly admire the guest you have in the studio. I do not know her personally. She doesn't know me personally, but I admire her a lot. I followed her campaign. I've followed some of her appearances on Territories Talk.
Thank you for your support.
Yes, please. Therefore, I would value very much what her views are on a couple of things. Now, you see, it's really one thing, but maybe multifaceted. You've talked a little bit about the culture and the blending of the cultures and those issues. And when I listen to talk radio and other people I speak to in Cayman, the predominant issue that they are concerned about, maybe next to the environment, the one at the very top, is the loss of turf by Caymanians in the government, in the private sector, and just in the society in general. And some people have expressed a view, and former candidates who ran before you, they said, look, we have to ensure that we have an immigration policy that ensures that any increase in population is not due to people who are coming in. For example, one candidate who I won't name had said, look, why don't we ensure that the percentage of PR that we grant, and therefore status that we grant, is of such a percentage as to ensure that, for example, if the birth rate in Cayman, I don't know what it is at the moment, say if it was 10, then every year, then you should ensure that the status grants that are being given are perhaps something like 7, because that will ensure that the local population is growing and being more being more present in the community. There are others who have said, well, if you establish a similar percentage, you could also just say at the end of 8 years, people would enter into a lottery. And you always ensure, therefore, that the local population is growing. Now, I just would welcome your views on that point, because people are concerned about this, but I don't see that any government has assessed this, has really addressed this. The community is talking about it, but the governments are not doing anything. It didn't matter who was in place. You know, we blamed Mr. Bush for 2003 grants and all that and so forth, but no other government has done anything. What is your view as to what the solution is? Do you support the principle? How do you do that? Because at the moment, I think in 20-25 years, Cayman will be nothing but an international territory. It is practically, I'm about to conclude, it is practically unrecognizable as Cayman. You can come to Cayman, and perhaps you can stay in Cayman for 2 years, for 2 weeks, and you will not really be able to distinguish where you are. You could as well be in St. Martin or wherever it is. I just welcome your views as to how to deal with this issue and whether it needs to be dealt with at all. Thank you very much. I'll hang up and listen.
Thank you so much, caller. That was
you.
A very loaded question, but one that I'm happy to try to weigh in on. So the caller was expressing concerns over what I'm interpreting as the growth in population and how do we ensure that we have equitable growth, sustainable growth if we do implement some sort of legislation around immigration. So to me, I definitely would agree that we need to have some form of broader regulation perhaps around immigration. I'm not sure exactly what the solution is. I would definitely personally need to do more research and get more perspectives on the suggestion that the caller proposed.
Understand it, right?
You know, because my mind went to, are the birth rate data statistics that we're getting, are those parents of the baby from here? Or are we weighing in, are we going to also make sure that the data is just on local parents? And then we have to be very delicate in the conversation as well, because, you know, you don't want to make anybody think that you're being discriminative. But that being said, there's a difference between discriminating on identifying features, and then there's, I think, you know, being particular about welcoming folks with aligned values.
More discerning, huh?
Absolutely.
Yeah. Before we go to the call, right, I listening to the call and what you shared, I'm asking myself the simple question. What if we were now facing with a scenario where many people who may have given status, say in 2003 or 13 or whenever, they're now fathering, right? Only because I'm speaking from the male perspective, children who are elsewhere, and they always say all of a sudden, hey, you know, I want these children to come back to me. So they were given status for whatever reason. Now their children are entering their lives. Are we asking, is that happening? If it is, to what extent? Just to what you were sharing, are we looking at the socioeconomic, you know, implications of what we've done, what we're failing to do? And to the caller before the last, what are we doing to come together? I'll speak to that again in a second, but I want, like, if this caller is ready now, Ms. Susan, is this caller bringing cassava cake? Because if not, no. All right, well, hey, good afternoon, welcome. Thanks for calling. How are you?
Good afternoon.
How's it going, man?
Can't talk too long, but I think that the COVID vaccine must have ruined some people's head. That was seem like wrong with this world today. About seem like gone mad. Don't focus.
That might be the case, yeah.
I know someone that had that, say that they don't feel mentally sound. I say, yeah, I think a lot of people that way. Anyway, all this conversation we sit and have every day.
Mm.
You know, Dwayne, there's one thing that there's. These are the words that inspire me from the Bible. People should read the Bible from beginning to end and understand what's going on. That's what's going on.
Mm.
But I got to go back to the words that inspire me more than else is as it was in the beginning, so shall it be in the end. Have a good day. I got to get off.
No, go ahead, man. Thank you. Well, the other words that you know the scriptures inspire: faith without works is dead. We can pray, and again, not offending anybody. Everybody has their own thing. I believe in it, but we need to act. But we need to act with a good conscience, with a clarity of mind as possible, in a contrite spirit. Act in love, right? Sadly, we do things when we're emotionally charged, we're angry. I can fix you, you think, and we do that. And yet, those of us who love life and who smile, we say to somebody, Bobo, sit down, behave, be quiet. You know, if not, you can't hear, you can feel. Why is it that all the callers seem to be striking a similar chord? We have no love or respect for each other, no value or appreciation for where we are. And whatever it is that needs to be done, why don't we draw alongside? Now, that may sound naive to some, maybe, I don't know. But should it not be our ethos? We work together to make it better.
Absolutely. And it's in our Constitution that we are a nation built on harmony and justice.
Okay.
If you read the first two,
the preamble, right?
Yeah, exactly. Of the Constitution, it's a great document, and anybody who comes to our shores should be living aligned with those values.
But look at it, right? And again, only from my limited and continuous studies, the preamble is just that. There will be those who say, well, it really doesn't do anything other than set the tone, but it really has no bearing, when in fact the intent was for it to be. Now, I'll say this because I was privy to it then. I had shared, well, if you wanted to actually have the teeth that you think it'll have, don't put it in the preamble, only repeat it elsewhere, so that the construction of it is left, without any doubt, right? Yeah. We're not doing that. We're not willing to stand in the gap. I say this not to apologize. You come to my house, you take off your shoes, I will tell you take off your shoes. You're offended by it, the door swings both ways, right? I'm not going to be mean in telling you that, okay? But for some reason, we believe that we got to be apologetic for so much. Being willing to take action doesn't mean that you need to physically hit somebody, You don't need to malign them with your words. You just need to stand in the gap.
You just stand your ground. It doesn't mean you have to, pummel someone into the ground by setting a boundary.
Right. I won't ask nor expect you to engage if you wisely choose otherwise. It's like the military reforming, right? I think we're going about it the wrong way. I think we're spending more time on guns and violence and diplomacy and dialogue and discourse. I don't want people being trained how to stand in the shadows and fire a bullet. I had a good friend who was still recovering because of that, right? You're a trained sniper, you're looking through a scope hours at a time. It does something for you. That repetitive training creates a response in you automatically, and when they come out of a war setting, don't expect them to be anything different. You are what you do, right? So why not have people be able to sit across the table and to think and to talk and to reason, to rationalize and to responsibly do things to help each other, as opposed to being very skilled at death. That is something that is bothering me to the core, where I think any cent spent on a gun is a waste. You may as well give a child a mouth full of candy and say, never go to the dentist, because you're doing the same thing, you're destroying their lives, right? Now, that offends many people. I don't see the point in it. But yet we do that repeatedly with the stupidity that we're doing. And we're going to be pointing fingers at politicians. Well, if you take your best football player and you put him on the bench for other reason, just to show that you got power, and you lose the game, well, you didn't put a goalkeeper in the goal. The goal was wide open. And that's what we're doing. We can't.
Absolutely. There's no kind of common value around the sanctity of life. I view, like, there's still a lot of debate, but yet there's still in some ways, when it maybe benefits someone from a profit standpoint, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. We've got to make this expenditure, and we've got to mash up the mangroves because we've got to make sure people get to work on time, and examples like that, right? We've got to wreck down the wetlands to build a hospital, as an example.
It has to be
balance.
Yeah, and a willingness to come to the table.
Yes.
To discuss something.
Yes.
And let's pause and take a break. Listen, the phone lines are open. It's up to you whether you're listening and being engaged and attentive and actively participating. End of the day, we are where we are because of what we do and what we fail to do. 949-8037, 949-6990. Hit us up on the toll-free line if you so choose. Stay tuned for Talk Today.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza. Open Monday to Friday, 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
Freedom, Cayman Brack. Freedom, Little Cayman. Soft breezes, blue waters, no traffic. Unwind and rejuvenate your mind, body, and soul. Sister Island Staycations, a taste of freedom. Discover all that our sister islands have to offer.
The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan, we're here for you. The Chamber Pension Plan is asking for all members to ensure their member details and contact information is correct and up to date. To review and update member details, simply visit chamberpension.ky. Log into your account and provide the necessary information for your personal profile and for your beneficiaries. For assistance in updating member details, call us at 745-7630 or email admin@pensions.ky. The Cayman Islands Chamber of Commerce Pension Plan. We're here for you.
When we can't find the words to express ourselves, the right greeting card does just that for us. This Valentine's Day, greet people with love through our wide selection of Hallmark cards and more at ValueMed Pharmacy. More than a pharmacy, ValueMed has thoughtful gift ideas to help celebrate the love you share with family, friends, and heartstrings. From designer perfumes and colognes, bath spa sets and grooming kits, to chocolates and specially curated Valentine's gift baskets, ValueMed Pharmacy has gift ideas and greeting cards to help connect and share with your loved ones, with free gift wrapping offered for any in-store purchases. Visit ValueMed Pharmacy on Walkers Road and Bodden Town.
The Lions Club of Cayman Brack presents the Pre-Valentine's Variety Show, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Aston Rutty Civic Center, featuring a host of local entertainment in music, dance, fashion, with MC Cheryl T. of Grand Cayman. Admission is $10. Food and beverages will be on sale, with proceeds benefiting community projects. The Lions Club of Cayman Brack Pre-Valentine's Variety Show, Saturday, February 11th, 7 p.m. at the Aston Rutty Civic Center.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon and welcome back. After the headline news at 2, we'll have open line. Ms. Emily Ducou is our guest and Una has a few more minutes to share for our schedule with us today. So, but thank you for each second. As we continue the discussion, we have another caller. Let's go to the phones. Welcome, good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Okay. All right. Well, sometimes things happen. That caller is able to. That caller is more than welcome, as is anybody else, to share with us. I'm hoping that through our discussion, your willingness to stand here, that people, and if this is said improperly or incorrectly or somehow, just let me know. The people will listen to hear what is being said, not so much in this case, who's saying it, but if they do, it's okay to say, they look across the table from me, they see a young lady the first caller, or one of them said, he didn't reference the physical person. He said, I can hear the beautiful spirit or something. To see that thing that is in us, that radiates, that wants us to unify and find a way to put aside our differences. Now, is that naive and stupid? I mean, we want our children to play and get along, right? Mm-hmm. But as adults, we don't want to speak to one another. How would that gonna work?
Mm-hmm. That's a good point. I think the human experience is heavily leans into, you never really grow up, and if but that applies when it comes to evolving and learning to foster relationships. It's not always easy, but it involves communication, and it involves having respect. But those are, again, if you've got no values, it's hard to come to those points. It's hard to get progress when you can't collaborate with others because you don't know how to form relationships. You don't have the emotional intelligence. You have an ego that's too big, and you just want the status quo to remain the same, and your comfort zone to remain the same, and the people around you who make your life comfy to remain the same. You won't prioritize making sure that you can communicate effectively and gather and empower and engage your community at all levels, all generations.
There's no honor without humility, right? As we take the call in a sec, you just shared something that made me think of this whole notion that, again, in the Cayman context, as Caymanians, as those who are here, hopefully, we would always say, never forget who you're for. And I don't think that we understand that, because maybe I don't fully understand it. But we're not always just talking about your biological parents and the community and so on. And maybe there's a need for us to integrate, acclimate, assimilate, somehow, bring within us that accumulated wealth so that we respect that. Maybe I'll expound on that in the second assembly, but let's take this call.
Sounds good.
Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thank you for calling.
Good afternoon, Sterling, and to your guest.
Good afternoon to you, Mom.
Are you talking about everything today, or just certain things you're talking about?
Well, we're talking about everything except, so and so and such and such. No, you go ahead, Mom. You share.
I don't think you see that have open line at 2 o'clock?
Yes, Mom. Yes, Mom.
I'm going to call back at 2 o'clock.
Okay, that's fine.
All right.
That's fine.
Right. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
See,
Bye-bye.
thank you.
Bye-bye.
That lady's expression of love and respect and appreciation. You know what? I don't want to bother her. I'll check it back in a minute. We are that sort of people, right? And again, reference is being made relative to the pace of development, the way development is being presented, the increase in population, not just the numbers, but how that is impacting things. But if we're not willing to consciously say, well, wait a minute, what are we doing? What is it we're trying to do? How are we going to get there? And be, is it courageous, visionary? And say, okay, that would be a nice thing, but we shouldn't do that. Yeah. We're not willing to do that. We complain about them on the cars on the road, but in Cayman anyway, I have not seen it. I'm not saying it doesn't exist, but I have not seen it in Cayman. I haven't seen a car driving itself. They exist. So if there are cars on the road, I mean, there must be somebody to drive them. Whether they're licensed or insured or not, I don't know. So we can limit cars, but if we're not limiting the people who drive the cars, at some point, okay. I want to ask something else, but go ahead first.
Yeah, no, absolutely. We need to approach how we, plan out our future as a community with humility. We need to humble ourselves and not presume that we should be aspiring potentially to emulate other nations that are they have different resources than us. They have different needs than us. We need to look at our own needs, look inward. Have the humility to consult our community, and the humility to say, like, it's not insulting to educate ourselves on things we may just not know about. Yeah. It's empowerment. And when it comes to, like I said, planning our future, it's getting everybody who should be at the table with an aligned vision that, we're not putting our sustainability up for debate. We're coming at this and we're asserting our needs are XYZ, and this is what we do here. I've worked in the financial services industry for a number of years, and I can tell you the cost of doing business will not go up so significantly that we're going to lose a bunch of clients and an interest just because we, maybe put our foot down a bit more on certain things.
But that's the thing, right? We devalue ourselves. We devalue what we're offering. And increasingly, we let other people do that. Some of whom deliberately say, yeah, you don't know the value of that. That piece of land, that old junk, that don't work, that swamp, that would be... And so they come in because of our naivety or stupidity. And we do it with so much. Now, some of us, we blow hard and arrogant and we, just overinflate ourselves. But, that's a different story. So how do we get to that space where we value and appreciate, respect, preserve, right? So that we can enjoy it. What is it going to take?
I think what it takes is coming to the philosophical realization that our resources are very finite and there's nothing stopping climate disaster and just growing too fast from preventing us from losing those very quickly to the point where we can't get them back. And I say that to say that when we develop an appreciation of our resources, where we act in our professions and in our daily lives as stewards and proud ambassadors, and having that real patriotism to protect our beautiful beloved Io, that our actions align with that. Our policymakers understand and can hear and feel that we put importance in our business operations and our practices and our, we try to be better consumers and better citizens and better community advocates.
Yeah. A question that I have for us, though, something that I've been thinking of and, trying to, how do I answer this? First off, how do I formulate the question? So just thinking out loud, the gist of which is we look at the Cayman landscape, and as things are unfolding, we're increasingly finding ourselves at a crossroads. Many have asked, sometimes, very disrespectfully and facetiously, but who are we developing for, right? It's a valid question, but our motivations, not all of us, are misplaced. The answer given by some are probably such that they're trying to be confrontational and defensive without fully convinced of what is it that they're sharing. Now, I say that to ask, as we look at where we are, I wonder to what extent, when we're hearing things repeated in the democracies, we fail to appreciate that they're propaganda. We hear them in other jurisdictions and we say, oh, that's propaganda. But over here, that won't happen here. Our governments won't take away our rights. Our governments won't say anything that, would cause us to be less than free citizens because we're a democracy. Whether that's the we in Cayman or some other Caribbean island or some part of North America or Europe. Are we at risk of when the individual, especially the young person, and I'll put myself in that category, ask questions when that should be a critical thinker, right? We now say, nope, that's a conspiracy theorist, that's whatever, some malign label assigned. So we're at risk of that. And then B, we're not assessing what is transpiring so that there are people that are being, another word, indoctrinated. We're hearing about this, and this, and not asking, but wait a minute, can that really be the case? Trust, but verify. Are those two things at play? And if they are, maybe so innocently, so innocuously, that we see it, and it's almost subliminal. Being indoctrinated, exposed to propaganda, nobody's questioning anything, nobody's verifying that thing which they accepted, whether it's from the teacher, the parent, the politician, or the pastor. Are those two things that play in the democracies?
Definitely, and we need to, as people, empower ourselves to be our own advocates in the research sense, because we very quickly run the risk of having the wool pulled over our eyes. If perhaps we get so exhausted we just can't tune into the news, and things get slipped by us, and before we know it, a development that wasn't publicly made very clear perhaps goes forward, and it's before you know it, you're 36 months go by and there's all these developments and trees are getting cut down. But I say that to say it goes back to empowering yourself to firstly figure out what you care about. Do you care about your community? You care about your environment? Do you care about your family time? And chances are the umbrella for all those can be participating in your own democracy from a sustainability perspective, in the sense of looking at it like you're an individual, you're a human being who wears multiple hats. You're a voter, you're a consumer, you're a citizen, you're a community advocate, whether you volunteer or help with the PTA, you give back in some way. And we may sometimes forget that whilst it might be hard to hold policymakers accountable, what I want people to remember is that our policymakers, the majority of them have a background in fiduciary care, which means they have a legal, there's an ethical obligation of care to be taken when it comes to investing in the infrastructure that supports your lifestyle and your quality of life as a Caymanian. And if you're not advocating for that, what are you doing?
But you said just then, others have shared it. I question, maybe Miss Susan saved me from my thoughts. Like publicly pronouncing. Want us to pause now? All right, welcome back. Miss Emily has until 2 o'clock. So, you know what? Let's take the wonderful commercials of the fantastic sales team. We have the best, and we reach the widest audience. So stay tuned for Talk Today.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
They say variety is the spice of life. And that's why at Subway, we're introducing the new boneless hot sub. Say what? The premium sub brings new ingredients like spicy breaded boneless chicken, French's crispy fried onions, and buffalo wing sauce, bringing a zesty and flavorful experience with every bite. Add some of your favorite veggies, cheese, and ranch sauce of your choice of freshly baked bread for the ultimate boneless hot sub. For a little spice in your life, try the new boneless hot sub from Subway.
So good and tasty.
And make it a meal with a drink and chips or cookies. Subway. Eat fresh.
Join us Friday, February 10th at the Hartwell Theater for the Valentine's edition of the Laughter Lounge Comedy Show, hosted by Corey Bell from Showtime's Monique and Friends, featuring comedians Mark Gregory and Mark Henderson. Come on down to the Hartwell Theater this Friday, February 10th for a belly full of laughter. Happy hour is at 7 p.m. and the show starts at 8 p.m. sharp. For tickets or information, visit laughkman.com or call 326-4510. Sponsored by Heineken, Sky Vodka, and Executive Services.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab. Blood test, x-ray, and mammogram, all of that is MedLab. Affordable fees and friendly service, a full professional team. MedLab is always comfortable, MedLab is always clean. For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Unlike, I have not done it before, but listening to Joel's voice, I see, maybe I should. This is Sterling Dwayne Ebanks. I so much love to, see her face in the big screen and hear our own voices. I haven't got to that space yet. Hopefully that's not misplaced humility, but it's a strong sense of love, reverence, and respect for others. And I like the fact that we have the opportunity to sit across the table and to talk to people who have dissenting views, people for whom life's experiences and expertise presents us with opportunity to learn. But there seems to be this level of, let's say, a lack of humility. Some would say sheer arrogance. Others would say misplaced abilities. Why can't we come to an understanding? At least just listen. You may not necessarily understand. You may not decide to follow the good advice, but we seem to think that we know it all. I don't know.
Yeah, in psychology we have the concept of the bystander effect, right? Where if you come across an accident, for example, or maybe somebody passed out on the sidewalk, you might just freeze because you don't know what to do, and you're assuming that someone around you is going to solve the problem.
Yeah.
A lot of people freeze in the fear of making the wrong decision, but we learn from our mistakes, and those around us learn from our mistakes. And when we have the humility to, remind ourselves we always act in good faith, we put our best foot forward, we make these policies and we make decisions and we act in good faith. If we mess up, we learn from those mistakes and we move forward, we evolve. That's how we evolve. Right now, there's a lot of things that are on the cards that inaction around those things being on the table, the crises that we're facing in our country, the inaction alone is a decision that's being made as well.
Yeah.
That fear of making the wrong mistake will only compound these issues. And if we're afraid to act,
it's not just commission, it's omission. It's not action, it's inaction.
Absolutely.
Something will happen whether you do or you don't.
Absolutely.
Right. So let me then ask, and this is again a public question. We look at the Cayman political landscape. We look at the demographic. We look at the social sort of wranglings and the economic implications. We see all those things. But if we're all here, irrespective of whether we've been here for generations, we've only been here for a few decades, or we've only been here for a short time, whether we have status, we can't call it citizenship, apparently, it's not illegal. But if this is where we are, why are we failing to understand and appreciate that the safety, the security, the stability, from the economic to the political to the social, is contingent on our behaviors, is dependent on who we are? I can't understand why we don't realize that if we go into a room that is pitch black and we don't know where anything is, we've never been in that room before, or night vision isn't that good, but we know that as we go in, the switch is to our left, it's right there, right? That's the only thing that we know. If we turn it on, it'll sufficiently be enough for us to get acclimated to the dark so we can navigate our space. But we choose not to. It's not an obstacle course. You're not trying to prove anything. We choose not to. We go into the pitch black dark room. We fall into the pit. We end up, but yet we do it. Now, that's what we're doing in Cayman.
Mm-hmm.
So why?
I think we may sometimes, when it comes to that bystander effect again, following in the same vein, I think there may be an element of we don't act consistently like we're acting in the best interests of our islands or our community. And that's because we have other interests that we feel we need to take better care of. But when it comes down to it, whilst you, as an example, you have shareholder interests to prioritize, you also have to make sure that you're balancing those interests with the needs versus the wants. And that's good governance. That's, ensuring a balance of investment when it comes to sustainability. It's making sure that you're not just taking, but you're also giving.
So that word sustainability, for instance, right? And we have it the various stakeholders, a term that has been used for a good while now, repeated by many of us. I don't mean to offend the particular group that put it out, but we hear everybody using the thing, there's supply chain issues. And I heard it a couple times, no, it's not a supply chain. There may be a supply and demand issue, but we are apt to repeat things, again, trusting but not verifying, even trusting things that make no sense, but because it was said by so-and-so in such a place. Where is the courage? Where is the wherewithal to say, hold on, not so. That because you say so, it don't mean it's so. Now, I know, we see somebody get, wrapped on our knuckles for that, and we go, boy, not me. But are we lacking that courage? Are we lacking the authenticity? Are we lacking the gumption?
I don't think we're lacking the courage, but I think what we might lack is the courage in the right spots when it comes to policy and decision makers.
Okay.
And that's not a comment on the character in any way of anybody in government.
No, I didn't hear that, but
let me make that clear.
Yeah.
You know, it's simply put that it's a very difficult job to develop a set of values and keep all your ducks in a row to where they're all, you know, wanting to go to the pond, because that's where the safety of the duck's life is, right? As an example, if we're going to metaphor this a bit.
Yeah.
And if all of us in our professional capacities, no matter what we go to work to do, no matter if we're going to work for government or if we're going to work in our respective industries, if we're not all on the same page of we all need to be getting these ducks into the pond because that's where it's safe, that's where they'll be healthy. We need to make sure that the pond is clean. We need to make sure that the ducks have healthy food. I say that to say it boils back down to, you know, that notion of sustainability, which in a nutshell just means you're balancing everybody's interests. But when it comes to why do we get those ducks in the pond, it's because we value having healthy ducks. What do we value? We should be valuing having healthy, abundant resources that future and current generations can enjoy and survive from.
So then, if I think I'm hearing what you're sharing, I'm asking again. There's a saying, if not now, when? If not me, who?
Mm-hmm.
Right? There are many of us who recognize that it's political expedient, whether it's the political elected, the appointed, whether it's the PTA or the church board, to do or not do.
Mm-hmm.
Then there are those who will say, well, listen, you know, it's not popular, but it's necessary.
Yes.
I liken that to the parent who says to the child, listen, I know you want to go outside and play, but you can't because of this.
Mm-hmm.
You know, maybe it's a consequence that you didn't do what you were told to do, right? You explain it to the child. Or it may be, you can't go outside and play. Look outside. Do you see what's around you?
Mm-hmm.
And so out of instruction and the love, we nurturing,
Exactly.
and we're saying, you know, it hurts you, I respect that, but bam, bam, bam.
Exactly.
All right. So in the 15 seconds that you have left, close this out.
No, absolutely. To your point, that's how we should be looking at it. You know, we should be looking at our daily actions as how do we go into our communities for the health and safety of not only ourselves, but our children and those that, you know, similarly we value.
Right.
How do we ensure that, like our children, our resources are being kept safe and healthy? Everything feeds into one another. You know, cause and effect is huge. And I would like to just say, once again, a huge thanks to you, Sterling, and Radio Cayman for always having me on to do my little bit of, you know, trying to save the world and make it a better place. And, you know, to your point of if not me, who, if not now, when, that's something I live by. And anybody who has that spark within them to just want to be the voice of the people, or, you know, if you feel it in your soul that you have something worthwhile to share and it's because you've got the best interests of your beloved Al Cayman, like, speak up.
Yeah.
You know, you were given a mouth and a brain, and don't be gaslit into feeling like, you know, you're perhaps a radical for having these just common sense values of community and health.
Well, to whom much is given, much is required.
Yes.
And unfortunately, radical is another word that maybe we should look to see its etymology and understand, you know, what it meant. Miss Emily, thank you.
Thank you too.
Please enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
You too, likewise.
To our
Same the callers.
listeners, you know, some news, headlines, open line thereafter. And then a song by Susan. Nah, stay tuned for Talk Today.
Satisfaction is guaranteed 24 hours a day, whether it's music or information.
Grand Cayman to Cayman Brac to Little Cayman. We've got you covered.
You ever hear a thing like that?
Radio Cayman in the Cayman Islands.
Today's biggest news.
Radio Cayman, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio Cayman's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
A local hotel comes under fire, accused of breaching contract and failing to return money to a customer. In a case filed in the U.S. District Court for the Middle District of Florida, Schneider Electric USA Incorporated is alleging breach of contract and conversion by the Westin Grand Cayman 7 Mile Beach Resort and Spa. According to published media, Schneider claims that after canceling a booking for hundreds of employees, the Westin failed to return the deposit to hold the reservations of more than $525,000. In international news, a small convoy crossed from Turkey into Syria's rebel-held northwest Thursday with desperately needed medicines, blankets, tents, and UN shelter kits, the first aid to reach the enclave 3 days after the devastating earthquake killed thousands. Before the convoy of 6 trucks, the only cargo coming across was a steady stream of bodies of earthquake victims, Syrian refugees who had fled the war in their country and settled in Turkey but perished on Monday's 7.8 magnitude earthquake. Even before the earthquake wreaked havoc on both sides of the border, the death toll on Thursday surpassed 19,000. The Syrian enclave of 4.6 million people was plagued by extreme misery, with many living in displacement camps and relying on humanitarian aid to survive. Nicaragua has released 222 of the 245 opposition prisoners it was holding. The freed prisoners, who are critics of President Daniel Ortega, have been deported to the United States. The U.S. State Department welcomed the move, which it said had been made unilaterally by the Nicaraguan government. Among those freed are opposition politicians who had planned to run against Mr. Ortega in the 2021 election, but who were jailed in its run-up. And a suspected Chinese surveillance balloon that the U.S. shot down this week was able to collect communications signals, a U.S. official has said. It was equipped with multiple antennas capable of intelligence collection operations, a senior State Department official said in a background briefing. On Thursday, U.S. lawmakers passed a non-binding resolution condemning China for the balloon. China has denied the balloon was used for spying purposes. It has said the balloon was a weather device blown astray. Those are your latest headlines. I'm Shana Gallego.
Today's biggest news.
Radio K-Man, your voice, your choice.
Local, regional, international. This is Headlines from Radio K-Man's newsroom.
Today's biggest news.
Things are so busy. 2 things I always seem to forget: to look after myself and Valentine's Day. Best Health Pharmacy, the game changer, fellas. Stocking purses, perfumes, jewelry, not to mention filling my prescriptions and medicinal needs with free prescription delivery in Georgetown and West Bay. Best Health Pharmacy, located at Crown Square Plaza on Eastern Avenue, across from Edie's Decor, making my life a bit easier this Valentine's Day. WhatsApp your prescription to 924-5358. Best Health Pharmacy. Your health, your convenience is their priority.
Ro Variety, centrally located in Tropical Plaza on Smith Road, carrying a wide range of household items, bathroom accessories, towels, clocks, handbags, clothes, shoes, jewelry, and more, and more, and more. You can buy from the big box retailers or support local. The better deals come from shopping local. Ro Variety Store, Tropical Plaza, Smith Road. Telephone 924-9553.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon. Welcome back. Thanks for joining us. You know, what's the song? Can you hear me? Can you hear me calling you? Well, let me know you can hear me. Let me know that you're there to share and shine. See the day they say. 949-837, 949-6990. Toll free with the compliments of Flo. 1-800-534-TALK and share your thoughts with us. Lots of numbers. Here's one more. WhatsApp 925-3261. It's open line for the remainder of the show. We end at 2:30. As much as we love you and would like to stay for longer times, we're trying to keep it, within the allocated slot. Do our best if we can, guided by you always. So 949-837, 949-6990. Let's take this call. Welcome. Good afternoon.
Sterling.
Hi. Welcome back, Mom. How are you?
You've been so fun this afternoon. You must be looking forward to 2:30.
I will say I'm being what? I missed that part. I'm being what?
Oh my goodness, you're being so funny.
Well, thank you. Life is good, we have to, and thank you for acknowledging that. We have to recognize that, many times we carry many burdens. We feel like the world, like Atlas, might be on our shoulders, but we give thanks, and we shouldn't take for granted the excellent health that we have, the wonderful people around us. So I love life, man. I love life.
Yeah, I agree with you 100%.
Thank you.
Sterling, I want to hit on about 2-3 things, but what I want to hit on right now is that earthquake there in Turkey.
Yeah.
Sterling, I am pleading to the government today and planning And these builders here in this island, stop taking this little island for granted. Sterling, we are sitting on water. And this thing about digging to the water and pouring cement in those huge foundations that they are doing here on this island, Sterling, something needs to come to a halt. Sterling, we are surrounded by water. And if we continue building the building that we are building on this baby island, Sterling, we are all going to hell in a handbasket. Even, God forgive me, probably we're Christians might even end up in that same trend, which I hope not. And I never pray that we get an earthquake like what I'm seeing happening in the rest of the world. I don't know what size Turkey is, but I'm quite sure that when Cayman sits in the center of Turkey, we are a size of a pea.
Yeah. Well, I really appreciate you lifting up the people of Turkey and recognizing that, they had similar earthquakes, within living memory, and we see the devastation that it caused, especially the huge loss of life.
Yeah.
And it's interesting. I don't believe in coincidences. It's interesting that you reference that, because that's been weighing on me. With all that is happening in the region and even on their border, and now for its people to be impacted and affected in this way, we sit here and we take so much for granted,
Too much, Sterling.
Yeah.
Too much.
Yeah, but we also,
I'm just hoping that we here on this island would sit down for a second and stop counting the money and stop counting the checks that is coming under the counter. Yeah. And I'm going to say that boldly today without a grain of salt, because then me and many more will be called corrupted. But where the corruption is located, you never heard anything about it. So I'm just begging today that the government and planning and whoever else involved in all this building on this island, let's make a stop. Let's put a moratorium on this building situation in Cayman. It is not looking good throughout the world, and we that has nobody on the sideline waiting to come in here to pick us up on a boat if we survive, and that quake the magnitude of Turkey or any other island. So I'm just stressing myself today. Please, 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 let's think about the people and our security and our lives and what could happen if anything happened here in the Cayman Islands. And I ask God to please do let anything happen. But Sterling, the way that these investors is building, something needs to come to halt, and very soon, very soon. But I'll leave that right there.
Okay.
Sterling?
Yes, ma'am.
Go ahead.
No, you go ahead. I'm listening.
Okay, Sterling. I haven't heard anything from public transport, and I'm not really looking to hear anything from them because they hear me blowing them up every day on the radio, and I'm going to keep blowing them up until they say, hey, come and pick up your ID, and I'm going to ask them what else is behind the ID for me to come pick up the ID, because then I was told to come and pick it up. It was a different story. Yeah. So
can I, since you're on, I don't want to put you off any other topic you want to mention, but since you mentioned that and since you're on, I had just two people call yesterday after and wanted me to explain to them what exactly you were sharing. They were respectful. They just one said I toned in a little bit late and I didn't get the gist of it. The other one said I heard about it, and I want to make sure I told them clearly, but perhaps before. Tell us.
Repeat myself?
Yeah, you went to pay for your license. You need to get your ID, but before you get your ID, you need to do something to your vehicle.
Okay, I did all of this, everything that public transport requested from me. Turn in everything, plus went through online. Okay, they called me on Friday and told me my ID is ready. I said no, Monday. I said okay, I come in tomorrow, which will be Tuesday. So I go Tuesday for the ID. And I could not get the staircase. I cannot walk the full staircase, so they came down to me. And they brought the ID, and they brought the inspection book to inspect my vehicle, okay? And the first thing was, oh, you need the yellow strip across your glass in the front and one in the back, which is a big banner saying taxi and your ID number. Okay?
Uh-huh.
All right, sir. And I said, excuse me. I said, I came here, got my paperwork from you guys. I did everything you all asked me to do. It never mentioned nothing about no banner, whatever. Now you're telling me you're going to inspect my van, but you're going to properly still fail me because I don't have my banner on my vehicle.
Uh-huh.
So I said to him, I say, you know what? You keep that ID. Because if you all think that I'm going to put those banners on my car, you all got another guest coming.
Okay.
And I can keep that ID.
All right. So help again us to understand. Thank you for taking time to, just remind us what you shared. So 2 things. One, this ID, this banner will go across your back of your car, somewhere that says taxi number, whatever that is, right? That's would
right,
be
right.
Okay. And do you know why they want that on it? Is it just to us as the public to know, yep, that's a taxi and that's the number? Why is it that you have to have that?
Well, they haven't told me that why I have to have it.
Okay.
They haven't said why I have to have it.
Okay. So as sorry.
What happened, Sterling?
Uh-huh.
A couple of years ago, they came up with the same banner thing and business cards. They want you to bring your business card in to show them your business card because they have someone who is making business cards, and this is how they want your business card to be. Okay, Sterling?
Uh-huh.
People carrying their business cards and show them what they had, and they said, no, I'm not changing my business card.
Uh-huh.
A lady went and got hers made because she was almost like freshly into the business. When they made her business card, they put her name on it in a stingray, a dolphin or whatever. And you know what else they put on her card? Her home address.
Okay.
Her home address, Sterling.
Right. Okay. Maybe we can come back to that. But for the banner that goes on the vehicle, it just says taxi number,
1224.
Yeah. Well, in your case, 1224. Okay. That's all it would say, right?
That's all it's going to say.
And is it then if that wasn't there, would we, the general public, looking for a taxi, if we saw your vehicle or any other vehicle that is a taxi, would we be able to see and know that that's a taxi as opposed to something else if that wasn't there?
Yes. If that was not there,
Uh-huh.
the sign of the windows has taxi on it, and you have a taxi light that you set on your dashboard.
Uh-huh.
So
Okay.
your license plate says taxi.
Okay. And then now to put this, I use the word they use, banner on it. It says taxi, and then the number for your license. How much does that cost? And do you have to go to somewhere specifically to get it done? Do you know what that would cost?
Well, someone went checked it out just a couple days ago. It says 200 and change for one for the front, one for the back. That's 400 and change.
Okay, so yeah, so you need to go somewhere that does that sort of signage. They're not telling you to go here or there. They're just telling you get it done. Is that it?
No, I understand. And when they first came up with it, they had a family member doing it, that and the business card.
Oh, okay.
And when one of the taxi drivers went just the same time that I went to get my license, she came to get hers too, and they wouldn't give her ID. So she went to price it, and they told her $203 or $26 for one each. And the person told her, you don't know why they put these banners up for, because in license, when you go to get your van inspected, they make you take it down, which I don't know how true that is, okay?
Okay.
So don't hold that against me.
Yeah, on the face of it, I certainly understand what you're sharing, and but I can also appreciate that there should be some sort of way for the general public to be able to more easily identify, just in this case, a taxi, but also to even say, okay, well, you know what, I just saw taxi number 1111 doing this, so that we have a thing, but that should be across the board. But I take your point. But with that in mind, given your nature and your willingness to stand on principle and maybe oppose things that don't make sense, is there another entity, an authority, whether it's the ombudsman's office or complaints, is there somewhere that you can take this to so that it's resolved and not present an issue and a lot of stress and anxiety for you?
I don't know who to take it to, Sterling.
All
I'm
right.
saying the honest God truth. I don't know who to take it to. And from my been coming on your station, I thought by now they would have reached out to me. I am not reaching out to those guys because right now they're holding me hostage as I'm concerned. I am being held hostage for my ID that I paid for. It wasn't donated, and I worked for it.
Yeah. Well,
You understand?
yeah, let's make some inquiries. I'll get Susan to get her people to see so that we can resolve it, satisfactory. Okay?
Sterling,
Yes, ma'am.
last week, a lady just told me last week she went to pick up horse. They called her for horse. She went to pick it up and walked out of the office gracefully. They never tell her she needed a banner. I don't care who gets and who don't get. But I just passed a Toho taxi. I just work at the fancy hotels.
Mm-hmm.
They do not have a banner. They do not have a number on their vehicle. We got the school buses licensed under taxi. When you look at a school bus, it says taxi. They ain't got no banners. And they ain't got no number, no more than what the owner of the bus put on it to their liking, to let the kids at school know what bus they're going to take to get where they're going.
So part of your objection then is inconsistency and the like. All right, thanks for us. I'm being told that I'm over the break. You know me, I like to talk to make sure people listen. Don't worry about it, Miss Susan. I got your back, girl. All right, Michelle, thank you very much, Mom.
Bye.
Okay, bye. Let's pause. And when we come back, more talk today.
Valentine's Day is around the corner. Your friendly neighborhood pharmacy, Savannah Pharmacy, is here. Valentine's Day cards, gifts, and more. Don't break the bank to show your love this Valentine's Day. Whether you're shopping early or scrambling last minute, Valentine's Day made easy at Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, just around the corner, with everything your family needs and convenient opening hours, including Sundays and holidays.
For medical lab services in Cayman, go straight to MedLab.
For a full range of medical services, pleasant, clean and comfortable environment, no long lines and affordable fees, visit MedLab at the Smith Road Plaza, open Monday to Friday 8:30 a.m. to 5 p.m. and half day on Saturdays. Call 949-7331 to make your appointment.
For medical lab services in Cayman, MedLab.
February is here. Don't let the motivation fade. The MedLab team would like to encourage you to stick with your 2023 resolutions. Water Authority Cayman would like to advise customers in the Cayman-Kai area of a planned service interruption that will take place in order to facilitate ongoing infrastructure upgrade works in the area. Preliminary works will begin on Thursday, 9th February from 10 p.m. Customers will experience service interruptions on weekdays between 12 a.m. and 4 a.m. on Friday, 10th February to Friday, 17th February. The service interruption will impact customers on the following roads: Water Key Road, Finger Key Road, Camp Drive, and Kaibo Crescent. The Water Authority apologizes for any inconvenience these works may cause and thanks the public for their patience and understanding.
Coming in hot. Coming in hot for the Red Dot Sale, only at Reflections. Red Friday is one day only. This Friday, February 10th, nearly everything must go. Clearance sale on men's and women's shoes. Nike, Reebok, Adidas, Puma, Dockers, and more. Limited styles available. Get yours before they're gone. Spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off. Ladies, save up to 50% off on clothing. Just in time to find your perfect Valentine's outfit or Valentine's gift with lingerie and personal massages at 10% off. Save on dresses, blouses, pants, and find even greater savings in our clearance baskets. Men, spot the Red Dot on any tagged item and receive up to 50% off on brands like US Polo, Dockers, and 20% off on all gym apparel. Levi jeans starting at $34. There is something for everyone at Red Friday at Reflections, one day only. This Friday, February 10th, Reflections Clothing Store located on Cheddon Road beside the Mango Tree across from Kirk Napa. Open Monday through Thursday, 9 a.m. to 8 p.m. Friday and Saturday, 9 to 9 p.m.
The offices of dermatologist Dr. Dwayne Porter will be taking appointments from February 13th to 18th at his Crew Road Clinic. Clinic appointment slots are limited. Whether you're seeking advanced skincare, Botox, filler, cosmetic skin enhancements, or simply looking to reduce wrinkles, Dr. Porter offers a full-service dermatology and dermatological surgery practice. For more information, email dr.portercayman@gmail.com or call 946-9020 to book your appointment today. That is 946-9020.
Tune in Saturday evening at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio for our Valentine's edition. You'll love it. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturday evenings at 8 o'clock on Breeze Radio. Entertaining, enlightening, and inspirational. Topical with CI cultural and heritage flashbacks. And the wonderful music of yesteryear, from the Thomas Edison era to the recent past. Your Yesteryear Musical, Saturdays at 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio, 105.3 FM in Grand Cayman, and 91.9 FM in Cayman Brac and Little Cayman. That's your Yesteryear Musical, Valentine's Day Primer, Saturday, 8 p.m. on Breeze Radio.
Talk today. But I do have some questions. Talk today.
Cayman Islands' foremost listeners' participation program.
Talk today.
Because there are more questions than answers.
What the public is saying.
Waiting to take your calls right now. Sterling Dwayne Ebanks.
Hey, good afternoon, welcome back, and thanks for joining us. And as we go straight to the phones, let me just share quickly a message from one of our listeners in reference to the last caller before the break. Says the caller on the air right now, that was just before the break, has voiced my opinion on that same issue when I saw the Turkey issue. That's the earthquake in Turkey, and our prayers are with them. She is so correct, and I'm quite sure there are others of the same opinion. It's a shame that they don't look at all these things and what the consequences would be. God forbid we would get an earthquake. And lots happen in the world, man. Let's be gracious and grateful. Let's be prayerful, pensive and productive. Let's take this call. Hey, welcome. Good afternoon. Thanks for calling. Hello. Good afternoon.
Can you hear me?
Welcome back.
Yeah, thank you. Did you say welcome back? You heard my voice?
No, say it again. Let me hear.
You said welcome back?
Yeah. Didn't you call back just now?
Oh, lovely. To be loved.
Well, what is it that the poet tells us? Is, to have loved and lost is better than to love not loved at all.
This is so. But I had to call in about the previous lady, what she was talking about. My uncle Eugene Christian, all right? Eugene Christian, Cayman's first black hole jeweler, all right?
Yep.
Way before that Caucasian guy came from England, Smith or whatever the hell his name is. Okay, he got the recognition. Eugene didn't, but he's been doing this for ages. But anyway, there you go again. Cayman, new plantation. This is a new colonization, different conversation for another time. But anyway, he mentioned, you guys mess with these iron shore here, down by where Treasure Island is, this is what's going to happen. They messed with the iron shore, not even a year later, look at what happened. There's no more beach down there. And to be honest with you, I pray the Almighty doesn't make it continue, but it can continue all the way to public beach. So we have no damn beach, okay? Thanks to these lovely rocket scientists we brought in here, okay? And the lovely colonial-minded Caymanians that signed up to them and literally ushered them in, all right? You and the last lady was speaking about several subjects. I could not hear but listen. And literally my heart hurt. It's painful to me, all right? Because I personally have had to feel this throughout my whole family, throughout my whole island, because anything affects your island really transcends to your family here now, But you know what I'm saying? Because your family, my family, and about 20 other families come from here, and that's it. I can't stand when expats talk about our island. You just goddamn got here. What do you mean our island? Welcome to our island, all right? So
but let me ask, well, actually, to finish your point, I don't want to put you off track. Go ahead.
Sorry, no.
Yeah.
No, go ahead.
No, go ahead, please.
So anyway, what I'm saying is that lady was saying something, and she was very conservatively, respectfully maneuverable in her speech. One thing came up about, well, your parents indoctrinate you, this and that and that. Let me tell you something. This might offend a lot of people, and I'm so sorry, but in the end, this will come down to what it is, all right? If we are worshiping the image of our oppressor, an image that we call the almighty Ephah, because there was no J in the Hebrew language. Don't listen to what I said. Go back and do the research on what I said. You might show me something I didn't see. There was no J in the Hebrew language, by the way. There still isn't. There was no J in the English language. So 430 years ago, these people will do anything to make their lie true. All right? So back to this conversation again. Christianity is spirituality hijacked, as we know it, Western Christianity. All right. First of all, who do you think they were killing in Colosseums in Rome? Who do you put a lion to fight in a Colosseum? A European? Who has the idea to bring a lion to fight a European? No, you bring a lion to fight an African. All right. So Christianity basically conquered the world as we know it, colonial Christianity. But that is not spirituality that the Christianity comes from. Read your King James Bible. At the beginning it says, great was the company of those who published this. They did not even have that book until hundreds of years after the book was published. And we're only getting about half, if not quarter of it through the King James. But through that, geographically and historically, it's still all speaking of where? Africa, Kush, Nubia, Axum, all these places. You don't even get out of Africa until you go above the land of Canaan. That is Arabia. All right? Long story short, if you're worshiping the image of something that was created by Constantine, do the research, you folks listening, do the research. You got phones now. You don't have to spend years in the library like I did as a little boy. Okay? Do the research. Constantine and a guy named Christoph hijacked our spirituality and renamed it Christianity. Then later on gave us an image of a Caucasian who was crucified in Jerusalem, which is North Africa. Now, how does that work out if you're studying the scriptures? Because let me tell you something. Both the Romans and the merchants, because there was no J in the Hebrew language, they weren't Jews, they were merchants. And they were Turkish Ottoman Empire descendants, if I'm not mistaken. Do the research, all right? None of these people have any biblical heritage. So how does either one of these two people turn around and tell us, the descendants of God's people? Because remember, Mary, Joseph, and Jesus hid in Egypt for 3 years in plain sight, you know. This is over 1,000 years before the people you see now, which are mostly Arabian. All right, because the people you see, the clear skin ones, they're Arabian. Sometimes they have some black blood. If I go to Egypt and don't open my mouth, and you walk next to me, my brother, and don't open our mouths, they think we're Nubian. Straight up. Because we are the people that look like you see in the Heracles. The Smithsonian in London and the Smithsonian in France, in the Egyptian Heracles, you don't see anyone, you can't tell the difference between a Hebrew slave and an Egyptian leader. The same people. Mary Joseph's Pharaoh's daughter passed Moses off as her son. Joseph became a prince in Egypt. Okay? So, long story short, that's enough history and geography for you now to go back and retract this story that we have been told, our parents have been told in many cases, who have indoctrinated us into this colonial mind frame. If you are worshiping the image of your oppressor, before you come to the reality of what the true image is of your God, you are already too late. They have already, you close your eyes, they give you their translation of the Bible, you close your eyes, when you open up, they got the land, they got everything. Okay?
My friend, I appreciate what you're sharing, and out of deference to all the callers and to my colleagues here, maybe we'll engage at another time. And increasingly, I was just trying to be reminded of something, but perhaps it'll come to us at some point in time. And to you and to others, let's be scholarly in our pursuits. Let's be mindful of the axiom, a little learning is a dangerous thing. Let us be conscious and considerate, of our conversations, and let's be mindful that as we look in the land in which we inhabit, perhaps we extend not just an olive branch, but a welcoming heart. Be mindful of what we are, who we are, where we want to go, but set the stage for others to appreciate that the table is for you to dine at, not to take from. Bring, like you would to, any sort of potluck. You break bread because you're bringing something with a sense of genuine fellowship. Well, it's another day, and to the caller and the message that reminds us not to take for granted all that which we have. Let's be prayerful, and if possible, as always, honest and sincere in our endeavors, reminding that for those who are called to be Christ-like, that is true prayer and petition, but is also a true definite deliberate effort to be conscientious and resourceful in our endeavors. So as we pray for those around the globe and mindful of what has transpired in Turkey and other places, and that we should not throw stones even though we may not occupy the glass house. Though people say it this way, you may be offended by it, but they remind us, you spit in the sky, you fall in your face. My friends, we have to be better, because if not, then we are no better. And because we know better, we must be better. Tomorrow, join us. Mr. Loxley has allowed us to put together a discussion. He's assembled a good entourage, and we're going to bring them to the table. I'm going to be honored to sit in their company once again and look, listen, and learn And then perhaps in the eve, as we go to the Harquail, we'll also laugh in fellowship. Thanks to Rod Jefferson for coming on board early and sharing with us. Laughter is good medicine. It soothes the soul, it inspires the mind, but it reminds us that we have to be kind one to another. Until tomorrow, be blessed.
Talk Today is brought to you by Subway, open 24 hours in Countryside, Anderson Square in Georgetown, and Centennial Towers in West Bay. And by the Ministry of District Administration, Tourism and Transport. Explore your history, explore your land, explore your sister islands. MedLab in Smith Road Plaza, your complete medical laboratory solution. Call 949-7331. And Savannah Pharmacy in Countryside Shopping Village, convenient opening hours including Sundays and holidays.
Is where tradition never dies. This is your radio.